one, another late in the day closed by Sam, and another hard one. And I'm gonna use this opportunity to announce that we're not gonna have a live stream today because it turns out that during my trip I dislocated my thumb. So I'm gonna have to go to the doctors, get this sorted out today. So I don't know how long that's gonna take, but before I do that, I'm gonna do today's puzzle. And if you don't know what Close by Sam is, it is a daily logic puzzle game we do here in the channel every day, where it ranges from difficulty from easy to sometimes evil along the week. And there are 20 people in a board. Each of them must be a criminal or an innocent, and they might give you clues to help you figure out what each person is. It is very funny, and I encourage you to try if you have never done so. There is a link in the description to take you to it. I'm going to start mine right now and explain my logic as I go so we can do it together. So let's start. We start with Ruby telling us that two of us, three builders, have a criminal directly to the right of them. Well, Ethan is a builder, and he is someone that doesn't have anyone to the right of him. So that means that the other two have to have both of them criminals to the right of them, which means that Ethan himself is a criminal and Sarah is another one. Now, Ethan says that Peter is one of Luigi's three innocent neighbors. So Peter is an innocent, and Ruby also neighbors Luigi, so we know about two of those three innocent neighbors. Sarah says there are more innocents in row 2 than row 3. Okay, we don't know how many are there in any of those rows, so let's leave that there and look at Peter's clue. There are exactly 3 innocents in column B. Wow. We know something about column B, right? We know that Peter is in column B and he is an innocent. Luigi is also in column B, and Luigi has only one more innocent to neighbor him, right? Let's say, what do I know? Let's say that Hank. Well, there's a lot of people in both row 2 and row 3 that neighbor Luigi. So let's say that Hank is innocent. Since there are more innocents in row 2 than row 3, and Luigi couldn't have any more criminals neighboring him because that's his 3 total. Oh, my thumb's hurting, sorry. I'm gonna have to put my mouse pad a little farther away from me. Gabe and Igor both would have to be criminals. Oh, I'm not supposed to do this. I want to tag them. Did I say Igor? Igor, I don't know. I think this is a Portuguese name. So both of these couples would have to be criminals. And in this scenario, row 2 does have more innocents than row 3, which is what is supposed to happen according to Sarah. If it were the other way around, if Hank were to be a criminal, it doesn't mean that the third innocent neighboring Luigi must be someone from either row 2 or row 3. It could be Olivia. So maybe that's not what I'm supposed to be looking at. We have to put together the fact that there's 3 innocents in column B. And we only have one of them so far. So there's 2 more people who need to be innocents in column B. And I guess it could be that Wanda and Bonnie both are innocents and these 2 both are criminals. And it could be that both of these 2 are criminals, are innocents, and Bonnie and Wanda are criminals. So how do we deal with that? If Olivia is an innocent and everybody else here is a criminal, Katie, Gabe, Igor, and Megan, is there still a way for row 2 to have more innocents than row 3? There is if Jane is an innocent and everybody else is a criminal in row 3. That works. And then we know that both Bonnie and Wanda would be criminals. Let's try the same thing that we did yesterday, where we sort of looked for somebody that couldn't be a criminal. Like, for example, can I make Olivia a criminal? I think so. I think that's not the person we have to be looking at. Maybe we should be looking at Luigi, because if Luigi is an innocent, let's say that he is one of the innocents in column B, that means that because Luigi is in row 3, that means that row 2 would have to have 2 innocents, right? One of them would have to be Jane, for sure, because Luigi can have only one more innocent neighboring him. And that innocent would have to be in row 2. So what I took from this is there a possibility of Jane ever being a criminal? Should we explore that? I guess if Jane is a criminal and somebody else in row 2 is an innocent, and we have everybody in row 3 being a criminal, that works. So there is a possibility that Jane is a criminal. Right? Because this works for me. And then Bonnie and Wanda are both innocents to make column B have 3 innocents total. So we found out that Luigi could be an innocent. And we found out that Janie could be a criminal. So both of them could be either. Who's the person that couldn't be an innocent? Megan and Katie, can any of them be innocents? And if they are, we know that row 2 would have to have 2 innocents at least, right? Same logic as Luigi's. If Megan is an innocent, we know that row 2 has to have 2 innocents at least. One of them would have to be Jane. The second one would have to be either Gabe, Hank, or Igor. There's no reason for... I mean, there has to be one of them, so there's no way for Luigi to have only 3 innocents. So Megan and Katie both have to be criminals because they break the ratio from row 2 to row 3. That makes sense to me. Now we have 2 new clues. Megan says that a number of innocents in row 2 neighbor her. So one of these people is an innocent. Because we know that there are going to be 3 innocents in row 2. It could be that both Gabe and Jane are innocents if there's an innocent in row 3, so we can't act on that clue yet. Katie says that Carl has exactly 2 innocent neighbors. Where's Carl? Okay, so Carl shares 3 neighbors with Megan. And we know that Megan has only 1 innocent neighboring her in row 2 because of what I just explained. So that means that Carl has to have a second innocent neighbor that can only be Bonnie in row 1. Now Bonnie says that Amy is one of Hank's 6 criminal neighbors. So Amy is a criminal, and Hank has 6 people neighboring him who are criminals. Since he has 8 neighbors total, 2 of them are innocents, right? I guess we don't know yet if those 2 are... the second one is someone that Hank shares with Megan, like Igor, or it could be Luigi, so let's not act on that yet. And Amy says there's a number of criminals in row 2. Okay, criminals. So, it couldn't be that we have 2 innocents in row 2. Because that will make an even number of criminals as well, since there's only 4 people in row 2. That makes 1 innocent only, that's an odd number, and 3 criminals, that's an odd number as well. So we know that Gabe is a criminal now. Nice. Great clues, well done. I'm not the one giving the clues. Now, what do we know? Bonnie and Peter are 2 of the innocents in column B, which means there's 1 more innocent to find. What else? There are exactly 3 innocents in column B. Oh, we know that there's only 1 innocent in column or in row 2, so we know that there's no innocents in row 3. So everybody here is a criminal. Sorry, that was there a while. Luigi now says that 2 sleuths have an innocent directly to the right of them. Where are the sleuths? Well, there's 3 sleuths total. One of them doesn't have a criminal, or one of them already has an innocent to the right of them, that's Peter. Which means that either Wanda or Xavier are gonna have an innocent to the right of them, and that makes Zany and Xavier opposites. Why? If Xavier is an innocent, because he's a sleuth, who is to the right of another sleuth, that makes Wanda have an innocent to the right of her, and that's the second sleuth who has an innocent to the right of her. So Xavier couldn't have an innocent to his right, which makes Zany a criminal. And if Xavier were a criminal, then that doesn't make Wanda the second sleuth. So we need a second sleuth to have an innocent to their right, and that can only be Xavier, which makes Zane an innocent. So that's how they are opposites. What else do we know? Megan gives us a new clue. An odd number of innocents in row 2 neighbor her. Nah, we've read that. Nick Cole gives us a new clue. Xavier is one of 11 criminals on the edges. So I know that Xavier is a criminal, and that makes Zane an innocent. Nice. And we know that there's 11 criminals on the edges now. So how many do we have so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So everybody else has to be a criminal on the edge. Oh, did I miscount? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, Jane's also on the edge. Sad. I did miscount. I miscounted the people remaining, not the people who are criminals. Okay. We know that Hank has to have a second innocent neighbor who's either Carl or Igor. So these guys are opposites as well. What does that help me with? We know that Hank and Wanda are opposites too, because we need a third and last innocent in column B. And Peter is one of Luigi's 3 innocent neighbors. That's gonna be the third innocent neighbor for Peter. Is it? Because let's say that Hank is a criminal. That'll make Wanda an innocent, and that's okay. That doesn't really make a difference with who is an innocent here. Does it? Do you know about something else? Like Igor Soto? Hank's neighbors we are taking into account. Megan's gonna have 1 innocent here. 2 sleuths have an innocent directly to the right of them. I've done what's needed to be done for this clue, so we can dismiss it. Let's keep this. If Hank is a criminal, Wanda is an innocent, and then we know that Carl has to be a criminal and Igor an innocent, because that's the last innocent on the edge. Like, how many innocents do we need on the edges? There's 14 people on the edges. 11 of them are criminals, which means that 3 of them are innocents. So that makes Bonnie, Wanda, and Zane the 3 we need, which would make Carl a criminal and Jane a criminal as well. And these 2 criminals. If it were the opposite, if Hank were an innocent and Wanda a criminal, now that's the innocent that neighbors Megan, so both Igor and Jane would have to be criminals, which would make Carl an innocent. So we know that the innocent on the edge is either Carl or Wanda. Both Olivia and Thor are criminals, and Jane as well. That makes a lot of sense to me. And now we know that these 2 are opposites too. Now, Thor says that there are more instants in row 1 than row 2, and we know that there's one instant only in row 2, which means that we need 2 in row 1, so Carl has to be the second instant in that row. That's the only person who could be. And now that makes Hank an instant and Wanda a criminal. Good. I'm sorry for that yellow there. I'm kind of sad about it. I don't like when I don't get the all green in the stats, but fun nonetheless. I like the puzzle. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm still a bit slow. I'm gonna take some time to rest today, and I'll be back again tomorrow with more Clues by Sam. So hope you have a nice evening and see you tomorrow.